down.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't really realize what they were doing.
Right. Right. Wow. Wow.
I always said they should give courses on becoming a parent.
Mm-hmm. And
I feel sorry for you,
with that.
George. Because I experimented on you. I didn't know anything about a baby. Never saw a baby until I saw you.
I think you did okay with me. Right.
Well,
take your water. You never saw a baby till you had me?
well, you know, I saw him in a car. Never touched one.
Really?
Don't ever
Wow.
remember.
And then bing bang, you got college education real quickly, huh?
And I think a lot of it is common sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I remember feeling love when I was a kid. I never
Oh
had a
yeah, I
problem
loved
with that.
you.
Mm-hmm. But you knew how to show it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I used to cuddle you and talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you making me feel important when you'd go out and leave me with the kids sometimes to watch. And today they call that child abuse, leaving me, abandoning me. But you
Yeah.
wouldn't eat if you
No, I
go down
don't.
to the store. So.
The store was right across the street when we lived on 10th Avenue. We had nobody I could leave you with.
Yeah.
And I'd need milk or something. I'd say, George,
Watch the kids and I'll
watch
be
the
right back.
kids and the baby's in the crib or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you were always great.
Yeah. And you had to go downstairs. And
And run
that made me
across the
feel
street.
important when you did
It
that.
did?
Yeah.
I see. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. And I knew you wouldn't let them move, you know what I mean, that anything happened. And I'd just run across and get either the milk or the bread or
Yeah.
whatever we needed at food, because Poppy was never home.
Right.
There was no one, and if it was a bad day, I couldn't take them to go for food and shopping. Or
Right.
the butcher was right downstairs, and the other guy was across the street where I got the milk and the bread from.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Poppy, what made you guys elope versus do it?
I don't know. You know, my mother. I don't know. I really don't. Till this day, I don't. I can't believe I did it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was
I
it
didn't
because
know
he
anything.
was not as wealthy?
Well, my mother. Yeah. Well, my mother would say, you know, you can always marry a rich man. Why do you have to marry someone who's poor and blah? And I guess I didn't want to hear it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Let's get married." And it was like a lark. It
Why
really
not?
was.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, why not?
Uh-huh.
And he made all the arrangements. I think his sister Yvonne helped.
Uh-huh.
And that's why he loved her. And I tell you something. I was stupid, and I did it for not, you know, for not the right reasons, but just so my mother wouldn't yell and everything. But I tell you, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Getting married or eloping?
Either.
Either,
Either,
okay.
both, right.
Because it would have been a lot of hassle with one. And you met Dad through Joe?
Yeah, my brother Joe.
How did he know Daddy?
He
Kempsey?
belonged to a group with George Lewis here.
Uh-huh.
And that summer I was away. That summer, I think I went with my mother to a hotel someplace.
This is the early 40s?
Yes, 42. Summer of 42 or 43? 42.
Mm-hmm.
Just before I graduated from high school. And we went away, my mother and I, for a week or two, I don't remember, to this hotel. When I came back, Joe had all these new friends that he introduced me to.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out with them, what's called the Kempsey group, and we went to a number of parties and all, and that's how I met Poppy.
So you met him at the parties?
I
remember?
think I went to a party at Helen Mosler's house.
Mm-hmm.
No, I went to a party at Zaloon.
Zarek.
No, it was down around Prospect Park. You remember the girl with the little hunchback? What was her name?
Oh, Kaloon.
The Kaloons. We were invited to a party there.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, and Joe and I went together. And Poppy was there with Helen Mosler and with some other friends. And he took me home.
He just took you home?
Yeah.
Were you interested in him when you first saw him, or didn't care?
No, you know, I think I was dopey. I was very naive and slow. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And we just enjoyed going out together and all.
So how long did you date? Do you remember?
Maybe a year.
You were dating for a year.
I
Had you
don't know,
brought him
but
home
you
to
know,
meet Badia and then Gel, or?
Well, in the beginning, no. We used to meet at parties and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you just didn't go out by yourself.
Okay.
We just meet at parties, and that's what we do, you know. And then later on, then his friend Billy Razook became friendly with my girlfriend Lorraine Rossi.
Uh-huh.
And then we started double dating.
You and Billy, that's my godmother's Lorraine.
Yeah.
And Daddy
And then
you.
Billy went into the army and Poppy was home.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got married. And that's...
When you got married, you went on your honeymoon to...
Well, I didn't know anything about honeymoon. George says, well, who knew anything? I tell you, I didn't even know what sex
honeymoon?
was. I didn't know about anything. You gotta be
How did
kidding.
you learn, Mom? No, you don't have to say so on videotape.
Right. But Yvonne made all the arrangements. She
For
said,
sex or for your...
No. She made all the arrangements for the, she said, you'll go to my cousin's house, Jeanette, in Worcester. We went by bus, too, and the bus broke down. I remember it took us about 8 hours. And it was embarrassing. I don't know. We were like kids. We really were.
Let's back up a minute. When you decided to elope, what did you do? Pack your bags that day and then...
Bags? What did I take? A couple of pairs of underwear, probably, and another set of clothes. We didn't have
And
any
then you
clothes.
went to the Justice of the Peace? Did you go to a church?
We had made arrangements at the church, the one that Aunt Flossie belonged to.
The Presbyterian Church?
The
Lutheran Church.
Lutheran Church on 72nd between 10th and 11th.
Mm-hmm.
We went there, and he said sure he would marry us. I guess we went ahead of time and got our blood test in those days, and license and blood test you had to get.
So who is that?
Wasserman
Who was at your wedding then?
Auntie Yvonne, Lorraine, Billy wasn't there. Poppy's cousin, Teddy Sotley, was his best man.
Uh-huh.
So we eloped, but they were all there.
Was his mother and father there? Dad's mom and dad there?
You know, George, I don't remember. I think so. All we did, we went to there and we had a private ceremony.
Oh, private ceremony, okay.
Yeah, and then I don't remember. We went out for lunch. They took us out to eat someplace. Then they drove us to the bus terminal. That's all I can remember.
Uh-huh.
Imagine going to Cousin Jeanette.
And so then you went up there and met Cousin Jeanette and
And
wow.
her husband George, who was a nice fellow,
Uh-huh.
a nice man. And I think we stayed there a week.
And then what happened when you came back?
Well, then we called my mother. and
Tell
she
them
said-
about sending the telegram to Joe.
Oh, we sent a telegram to my mother, I think,
Uh-huh.
telling her we eloped because I said, oh my
Something
God,
like
she's
that,
going to die. She'd worry I didn't come home. She thought I went to work. It was a Saturday. And we sent a telegram saying we were married. And then Poppy insisted I call her up. She says, you better come straight home. You know, afterwards. We went to, when we got home, we lived with my mother-in-law.
Uh-huh.
They had room, and then after
On
they-
72nd Street?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then we made up with my mother and father.
How'd you do that? Did you both go to the house? Did you invite them over to Tate Alwon's house?
Evidently, my mother-in-law, Tata Alwon, called my mother and spoke to her
Before you got back?
before we got back, and my mother's going to tell her off, I heard, and my mother was so mad at her. She said she was so sweet. She said I fell in love with her.
So they spoke to each other before
Yeah.
before both of you came back.
Tata Alwon was a beautiful person.
Yeah,
She was one notch above Poppy.
yeah,
Yeah, she really was a saint.
yeah. Did you know her before you got married? Well, or
No, we had just met a couple of times at her house.
Mm-hmm.
I think we went there. Poppy took me there to meet the family, and like he picked me up. He said, "We'll stop at my mother's for a minute."
Mm-hmm. What's your
Yes,
fondest memory of Matilda?
Of Tata? Oh God, I can't tell you, George. She was just unbelievable. I hope I appreciated her and showed her then.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not in the beginning because I was young, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But she really was a beautiful person. She was so good,
Mm-hmm.
so sweet.
Do you remember the things she did for you or for other people?
Oh, she did for everybody. I'll never forget one day when we were living there, this man came in and he says, "Oh, Matilda, Edna and so-and-so down the block sent me to you." He was selling stuff. I said, "Well, I don't have the stuff with me." He said, "But if you give me a deposit," my mother-in-law made up an order. He said, "I'll bring the goods to you." Anyhow, it ended up she invited him for lunch. He ate lunch, and he says, "Don't worry, don't give me the deposit." He said, he was a con artist. He took deposits from everybody on the block and didn't bring anything.
And didn't take anything from Matilda.
That's how good she was.
Oh, that's sweet.
That was funny.
Really.
Yes.
What about Nick? You never.
Nick was. I felt sorry for him. I didn't. It was hard to get to know him. He wasn't warm like Tata. I think he was very frustrated. He worked nights, so he would leave the house maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you wouldn't see him. So we'd only see him a little bit in the morning. And of course, he was always cranky because he and Yvonne fought a lot. And no, he was always good to me. I never could say anything bad about him. He was always very nice.
He was polite to you and
very polite. And,
right.
He adored Daddy.
Yeah.
He adored him. I mean, nobody in this world could light a candle to your father in his eyes. He adored him.
Yeah.
So
even if Daddy stole the car once, you still adored him, right?
Yes. Poppy could do no wrong.
Right.
No, he was very good to me.
Yeah.
And he was very good to my children, yes. I could never say anything against him. It's just that he wasn't the type that showed affection. I mean, nobody, I guess, kissed and hugged. But no, he was.
Except now, all we do is kiss and hug everybody. Yeah,
but in those days,
No, nobody did. My grandmother loved me and worshipped the ground I walked on, but she never showed affection.
Really? So when did all this kissing and hugging in the family start?
I don't know.
Nobody had that as far back as I remember.
I thought it was just traditional. You always kissed and hugged.
No, well, you always kissed when you walked in.
Oh, you always kissed
we
when you
never
walked in?
kissed. We never went to school or left the house without kissing my mother and father goodbye.
Okay.
And kissing them hello when we came home.
Come home. Okay, so that's what.
But it was a peck on the cheek. It wasn't a hug. You know, you just put your
okay.
cheek and you kissed, coming and going.
So it was more like a handshake or formality versus was something affectionate.
But no, we never went to school without. We always sneaked into the bedroom, because my mother and father slept late. Because Papa went into work a little later. We always kissed going and coming home.
Okay.
When he walked into the door, we kissed.
Good. Wanted to ask, maybe as we begin to wrap this up, if you have any, I don't know, special stories or advice or memories that you'd like to share with your grandchildren or your children?
Grandchildren? Oh, I just wish they had known their Poppy, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was a very special person.
No question.
Yeah. I mean, usually people say, after you die, people eulogize you and say how wonderful and how great you were. But it's not always the truth.
Right.
But he was a great man. He gave of himself to people.
Yeah. Well, what would you want to tell your grandchildren? Not necessarily about Poppy, but
No,
any
just
advice
tell
from
them
life that you've learned? What have you
be
learned?
tolerant of everybody. Everybody's different no matter what. I used to be a hothead. I was a perfectionist. I needed everything done yesterday. I had to be done perfectly. I still am that way a lot, George Lewis will tell you. But I found out you have to accept people for what they are. And
what made you learn that?
I think being with Poppy, because he was so tolerant of others. I used to blow up fast. My mother was like that too. Even my father, I think. But everybody has opinions, and I think as you get older too, I mellowed a lot.
So your advice to the grandchildren would be to be tolerant of other people?
Be tolerant of other people. Just do your best. You don't have to be the very best or the top. But as long as you're trying, you know, you can do it. It's not always done the best way. And if you try hard enough, you can do things.
And try hard enough
frustrating.
Brings up the question of success in life. What would you say is a successful life?
Not making $1 million. Some people think it is. Just so that people respect you. People could say, like some people, you know, they say, oh, well, that son of a gun, you know, or that son of a bee or something. Or somebody say, oh, well, she really was a nice person, or he was a nice person. I think that's more important than anything in the world.
So success would be allowing people to have good memories of you and have good feelings about you.
Yeah. Yes. I have a lot of people who tell me that I didn't realize, but I did a lot for their lives while they were growing.
Yeah. And you did.
And I never realized it. I just thought I was
being you.
being me, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you've made a lot of difference for a lot of people.
I
Strangers
feel-
included, right?
I know, I was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so be tolerant and be
Yeah.
liked.
Right, and be nice and try to help.
Mm-hmm.
As my mother said, it takes just as much effort to be nice as it is to be bad. You know?
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Okay.
So
Well,
just try.
we'll wrap this up for the earlier part of your life and maybe continue at another time with another tape about
Yes.
when I guess I came along and start from the kids for a little bit about us and your
Right.
memories of us as children. But I think anyone who's watching this now probably has about 40 minutes, and that's probably beyond the tolerant level. So we'll stop it for here for now.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much, Gigi.
You're welcome.
That was nice.
That was a very nice interview.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to pick up with something a little bit different now, and this again is the 28th or 29th of December, and we are going to interview Gigi about some of her china and some of the china that she's going to let us know a little bit about its historical context and some information that she remembers. David's going to help, and we'll be tuning in and out as we do this. Gigi, you were just telling David about that
The server here?
server. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about that particular piece?
Well,
Go ahead.
you know what happened? When we got this dining room set, I needed something to fill in this spot, and I didn't know what to do. So I called this Italian furniture maker. He's quite famous, but I've forgotten his name. He did beautiful work. And I asked him to come in and suggest something for here.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'd like to put something in there, you know, either a server or something. So he came up with this idea. Could fit it in, it fits nicely. And then he took the drawer and the door home with him to his factory, because they made this up for me.
And this
then
is
we-
this door and drawer here
Yes,
on-
from the,
on the china closet,
on the break front.
on the break front rather.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get a better picture of this piece here. Right. Okay.
And then I said, you know, how would a green color look? Of course, at that time I had a green rug too. And he said, yes. I said, because he said he couldn't match that kind of wood.
Right.
It would have to be something that would be, would go, you know, what would you call it? I could go with it, but it had to be completely opposite. You couldn't have it
Exactly the same.
exactly the same, or it would be too much of a contrast
Mm-hmm.
if you tried to make it the same, because
match
it
it the
never
same.
would be.
Mm-hmm.
This really had to be a real contrast. So I had suggested the green. And he said yes. And this is what he did for me.
Good. Okay.
Don't know what I paid for it, but it was lovely, and I'm glad I did it. It was a good idea.
Good.
And sometimes I'm not very decorative. Sometimes I have good ideas. That
This
was
is
one
a
of them.
beautiful china cabinet. How did you pick this?
My mother and I went shopping, and she said she would give me some money towards a dining room set. I think, and we went around to all these stores, and they were so junky and all. I think she was giving me $50 towards it. And then we went to a couple of places where they sell furniture wholesale and all. And we picked them, we looked and we looked and you know, when you see, you never know, huh? And then my mother looked at this and she says, Gloria, this is beautiful. I said, yeah.
It really is.
And we took the measurements. Poppy did a sketch of the room with the windows and all, because they had to fit into certain spots. So we got that with the dining room table and the chairs.
Well, I've just always noticed that, and of course it's filled with beautiful things.
Yes. And the gold dishes on the bottom there.
I could hold for a moment.
Maybe George could just pan through.
Okay, so we're going to continue with this shot of the break front and different items there, and David's going to help with this. Dave, where do you want to start?
Start with that left hand little glass up there. Yes.
The glass?
Yeah, bring it the glass. goblet or whatever. This is, I think, one of two pieces I have left. Belonged to my mother. It was given to her when she got married as a wedding gift from my Uncle Bahij.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's a
And I
pretty...
think there's this one.
That's a wedding gift from your Uncle Bahij.
There was a whole set at one time.
Okay.
I thought there were two pieces, but I guess I don't see the other piece. Huh?
I don't see the other one.
No, so
But
I
it
think
could be
this must be
somewhere.
it.
It could be somewhere. Well, I just opened up the cabinets, I mean, because it's all so beautifully arranged, and there's so many things that it was apparent to me as just an in-law that Gloria likes this sort of thing, and so so anyway, why don't you tell us something about the china that came from China?
These,
No, but these.
these, on the bottom
Sorry.
shelf here, this is called Satsuma. Now, I'm 70 years old, and my father brought these from China. They're Japanese,
They're
but he
Japanese.
brought them back with him before he got married to my mother. He was engaged to my mother, and this gift he brought back to her.
And they're just the most beautiful thing.
Yes.
They're gold, and if you touch them, they have all this raised relief and all the beautiful colors, and it's just priceless. So there's a real story behind these.
Yes, those were Mama's.
Hold for a moment, please.
If there was any more to that, why did he get that? He just liked it, or
Yeah, you know my father, he buys what he likes.
right?
Whether he got a good price on it, whether he just liked it, but that's what he wanted.
So what else?
So he brought it home as a wedding gift to my mother.
Are there any other pieces in it, with other members of the family, or is that...
Yes, that second,
No, within that China set.
no.
Okay,
she
so
wanted,
this is the whole
I had
collection.
wanted to originally give my brothers each a place setting of it. My mother said no.
No, don't split it up.
No,
right.
don't split it up.
But it was a
Not
wedding.
that she didn't want to have that. Dave, could you open that
Yes.
third door a little bit so I can catch the teapot?
So
Yeah,
it was a
thank you.
wedding gift to your mother.
It was a wedding gift to my mother. My father had a fit when she gave it to me. In fact, before she went to the hospital and knew she was so sick, she packed it all up and told me to take it home. And I said, absolutely not. She said, yes, I want you to take it.
Has any of it ever broken, or is this all
There
good?
must be a lot broken. I don't remember how many pieces there were originally.
You were going to tell me about this piece.
That piece was Mama's. And I remember when we had parties, you remember kibbe naya? The raw kibbe?
Uh-huh.
She always served it in this dish with onions on, not onions, scallions on top. That she always called that her
I
kibbe
remember
naya
that
dish.
dish.
Yes.
I'm going to
She
break
was
it
very
right on
proud
the-
of that. She said, that's very old.
Is it, do you know anything about it?
No, I don't know where she got it from or how old it is, but it is, I remember ever since I was a child, it was in the house.
Uh-huh.
That picture, that heavy picture up there, is at least 75 years old.
It is heavy.
Yes.
Isn't it beautiful?
Peggy Rooney's mother, Kenny's wife, was friendly with this neighbor who was going into a nursing home. And she said her husband had
Dave,
brought it
could you
to
pull that back a little bit? Because it's hard to...
It's hard to focus on it.
Yeah, it's hard to focus so close. Besides, whoever's going to look at this is going to be dizzy.
The neighbor's husband brought this as a gift to her because he traveled to England a lot. And she said it was very old and very valuable.
It's just beautiful.
And she sold it to me, and I don't know how much I paid for it.
Is this
So you
other-
bought this then, huh?
Yeah, this,
Is this other one the same? It looks, maybe it's just similar because it's cut glass.
cut glass, yeah. No,
Oh.
I don't remember where I got this one from. Whether she sold it to me, I don't remember. I had bought, Madeline Stumbley and I used to go out. And Madeline and I...
Well, I took care of that. It's now historically broken.
Is
I
it-
knew I was going to do something bad on film.
That's why I don't like to touch
To
anything.
touch anything, yeah, okay.
I can't touch it. I mean,
Oh.
my hand,
We'll put it back later.
yeah, my hand slips and,
What about that little dish that you just brought out?
that was for Mama's. You see the cut in it? I think that was one of the ones from Mama's house. She had a couple. And some of these things too I got from Audrey's mother. That little green teapot was from Audrey's mother's house.
Which one is that?
That little green teapot on the left, on the second shelf, up,
Oh, this one.
down, yeah. I don't know where it came from though, whether it's from Japan or China. Her mother and father both lived in China for a while.
I didn't know that.
A lot of the pieces here were from Peggy Rooney's mother's neighbor I bought. My little ladies on the set there, those little dishes back there.
Those little ladies on the second
Oh,
shelf in the
yeah.
back.
Those were from Mrs.
Yeah.
Rooney's
Yeah.
neighbor. Those dishes, those beautifully covered colored plates on the top there,
Yeah,
were all
here's,
from there.
Those are the ones way up on top.
Yeah, and these.
And David has a couple in his hand.
right,
Yeah.
this is
These
one.
are from where? Mrs. Rooney?
Mrs. Rooney's neighbor.
And there are a bunch of them.
And these
They're
are
all
the others
slightly
here, the
different.
other 2 or 3 on the table.
Well,
No,
no, this is
these-
something
Those are the
different.
same.
I had just gotten out one each of a number of different patterns.
This and this. Poppy and I one day went out to Flemington, and I saw these
They're danced.
in the Dansk outlet store. I fell in love with them. And Poppy said, well, I said, I want to buy them. He said, well, do what you want. So I did. I bought them. I bought the cups. Cups match this.
Mm-hmm.
Bought a few pieces. And Audrey was so jealous. She said, he lets you buy whatever you want. I said, hey, we have a large family and we do a lot of entertaining. This set, I have about 10 to 12 of these dishes.
12, I counted.
12. I was in Manhattan, and they had, it wasn't Salvation Army, it was one of the other stores there, where they have people come in and give gifts, and then they sell them and the money goes to charity.
Uh-huh.
And I saw them when I was in Manhattan, and I fell in love with them. And I couldn't carry them home. So I came home, and the next day I had a babysit for Patty Caton. And Patty was about 6, and I said, Patty, get in the car, we're going to New York, and if you ever tell anybody what we did, I'll kill you. And she never told, and I bought them, and I said, Poppy, I have something to tell you. I was very extravagant. I bought these 12 dishes. I think they charged me $10 a dish.
They're called
At those times, you know, it was a lot of money.
So this is
And
called
he said, did you like it? I said, yes. He said, well, what are you worried about telling me for? I said, well, I guess I should have told you first. But
Good.
he never said anything about it.
Great. Okay.
Well, then there's another pattern here. This may belong to George Lewis, but it's beautiful.
You know, that
It's
I know.
some kind of Christmas pattern. It's Fremont by Franciscan. Anyway,
Okay. Others?
is there any other individual pieces?
The little
that-
bells are from Ireland. You see
These cut bells?
the cut bells are from Ireland. They're, what's the Irish cut of? Peggy Rooney gave these to
Waterford.
me. Waterford. Every Christmas she used to give me a bell. And if anything happens to me, if she would like them, I'd love to give them to her 5 children. And then the other,
This bell?
the Christmas ones, you know, the Christmas dishes.
Oh, the Christmas dishes.
Most of those were gifts from Peggy Rooney and Kenny for different occasions.
Here, I just
And if
noticed
she
these.
would like them, she may have them too, because she gave them to me. She gave me a few other of the things inside. Oh, that's
These
my
are-
mother's.
Yeah, these
yes.
are the 2. They're smaller than that one, but they're
Yeah, see, that
One
was my
pattern.
mother. It was a whole complete set of 12, all different sizes. There's only 3 left when she died, and she wanted me to have them.
David, pull that out again. I'm going to try to focus on that, see if I get a better
Well,
focus.
it's a rather fine pattern, but it's pretty distinctive. I don't think it can be missed.
Okay, I'm on focus now. Thank you. Probably everything else has been out of focus, but we can live with that.
How about these 2? They match.
Those Carol gave me. She had, she went to a factory where they blow glass,
Uh-huh.
and they made this up for her.
Here's this bucket that you blow her into the well.
Let's see. A lot of things Madeline and I bought. We used to go to New York and we used to go to different places and we would bargain.
Right.
We would bargain for the stuff.
Are these just pictures that you liked?
Yes, that was from this little lady too, Peggy Rooney's neighbor. This one and that one. They were from England. Her husband brought them back as gifts for her. She used to love it. This bowl here on this second shelf up in the middle, that's etched by Patty Floyd's wife's great-grandfather, I think. He was an etcher, and a lot of his work is in the Philadelphia Museum. It's signed. This piece is signed someplace.
Can you read who that's signed by?
Coben, I think. I could never find it, but she showed me once where it was.
It's probably, right, it's in the pattern somewhere. I'm just going to put everything
And
down
I
here.
have a little chip in it. I feel very badly. but
There is
that-
a little chip.
Yes, but that was from Patty Coben's. So if Sarah or Katie wanted, it's their great-great-grandfather, I think.
What about the items on top of the?
On the top now, that one was from, the one on the left there was from the little old lady. And the one the one in the middle, my mother belonged to the Syrian Ladies Aid Society. They used to go around and find people who applied for help. She would go and investigate them and all. And this woman said she didn't have much, but that's an agili, part of an agili, the Syrian water pipe.
Right.
And the woman offered to sell it to my mother.
It's heavy, too.
Isn't it beautiful? And that's where that came from. My father tried to get it back from me, but I said, no, my mother gave it to me. It was given to her.
And the other one on the right?
The other tea set was from Ann Shaughnessy on my 25th anniversary. Had a teapot and it had cups and saucers to match. The cups and saucers are gone, but I still have the teapot. My mother had a few couples over for my 25th anniversary. That and these two goblets, when my mother was very sick with cancer, one of Joe's very good customers sent them to her as a gift. So they must be
Just
expensive.
these two, right. They're beautiful.
Yes, he sent her those two, and she insisted I take them.
How about this gold leaf dish?
I think Madeline Stomley gave me that as a gift
Very interesting.
for my 25th anniversary, rather than silver. The candlestick, so the candle holder there, was from my mother's house. I think it's bisque, I'm not sure.
There were two of those.
Yes, there's another one.
Yeah.
Anita took it downstairs maybe?
Right, they're both downstairs.
For the holidays,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Where do you usually keep them?
On the server here.
Oh, okay.
Those were for my mother.
What about that closet? Anything in it there?
Well, let's think.
Probably not. Looks like just.
Some of those two bird figures are very expensive. They were from Peggy Rooney.
These
As a gift,
porcelain
yes.
ones? And there's another one there.
Oh yeah, she was, and I told her she used to buy me one every Christmas. They were very expensive. I've forgotten where she bought them.
Who is this?
Peggy Kenny's wife. We call her Peggy Rooney so everybody will know who she is. I have some.
This is a little Christmas. One of the little Christmas papers.
Yes. Madeline Stomley's daughter-in-law made that for me.
These things on the wall, are they anything of significance?
Well, those are, what did I think of the word? I forgot. I had bought them and Papa gave me one as a gift. I was collecting them for a while.
What about this?
These two I had promised to Dennis.
Which?
Did you close that door?
Well, excuse
You
me,
see
whoever's
these
watching
two?
this, forgive me, please. Okay.
Those two pictures there, my father brought back from China over 70 years ago. They're not painted, they're woven with woven in the pictures.
Wow.
And Dennis always admired him, and I'd like him to have them. In fact, I meant to give it to him when he left.
Okay.
I forgot. There was too much sun on them for a while, so I put them in this corner. They were beginning to fade.
But
But they're-
it seems that the color is pretty true.
Yeah.
Still.
It's over 70 years.
Wow.
Imagine.
Anything else, Gigi?
The mirror. And so I'm taking to Alwon's house
Oh, really?
on 72nd Street, so I'll always cherish it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And those two angels, I have no idea the cherubs where I got them from. But,
Okay.
and what else? Oh.
What?
I had a tablecloth I wanted to give to Peggy Rooney. I'm trying to think now where it is. It's an old-fashioned tablecloth, and I think it would go nicely in her house. And I had it saved, and I don't remember where I put it. I wanted her to look at it and see if she wanted it first.
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold for a moment.
Okay. And I think you should talk about those chairs inside. Those are
Yeah, the
yours.
furniture.
Where am I? I'm mad now. That chair. There's two of them. They have to be fixed. The springs are coming through.
Watch, Gigi.
Remember
Where
that
is it?
chair,
Oh,
George?
that's the chair I picked up, yeah.
That's the chair, and those are for you.
Oh.
The two chairs.
What's the story with those chairs?
You want to know the truth?
Sure.
George, you tell.
Driving around Brooklyn one day on garbage collection day, and I found them, picked them up from the garbage, brought them home, had them in my house for many years, and then Madeline Stombley,
Aunt Lady.
Aunt Lady, was over my house and visited one day on 39th Street and
Yes.
saw these chairs as kind of gems among the coal that I had.
And you had the springs sticking through.
Springs were sticking
I'm
through.
sure they were very noticeable among George's other motley furniture.
Yes.
What was that description of that term, motley? Right, so they were noticeable, so Madeline, a lady suggested that Gloria get them fixed and brought down here.
And I did.
And she
I had
did.
more compliments. This table, when my mother was dying, my brother Joe came to visit, and I needed end tables and coffee table.
And among, I mean, there are other,
Well,
around
hey-
the house there are different chests of drawers, and they all have this inlaid, this wood pattern, and the gold, some, just different variations of the same style. What style is that?
They call, I'll have to ask Joe. Bombay? No. My brother Joe dealt with this stuff, but he gave me the